Hi everyone. In this video, I'll be going over a method I invented to determine your main cube in an event. I've only done this for 3x3, but I think it should hold up for every event in theory, although the numbers may have to change depending on the length and the difficulty of the event. But in theory, what this method is that you gather up all the cubes you want to test to see which one you should main. For example, I put up all my 3x3s here, and I did an average of 5 in this case for each 3x3, and in this case the big sail was the worst performing cube, so I eliminated the big sail from the competition. So in round 2 it would be every cube except the big sail, so except the worst performing cube. The reason I did an average of 5 for this first round is that I think that every round should have around 100 solves per round, because it mimics the amount of solves in an average of 100, which is used for determining what your global average is, or around. Well, some people prefer an average of 1,000, but an average of 100 is also a good indicator of what you average in an event. So I think that every round should have around 100 solves, so that the amount of solves you do is around or equal to an average of 100. So in this case, I started out with around 12 cubes, I think. So an average of 5 would be a bit under 100, but I think that's okay for the first rounds. And depending on how many cubes you want to test, or how many cubes you want in the competition, I guess, then you could decide to do an average of 5, an average of 12, an average of 25, of 50, whatever. It depends on your personal decision, because you know what's best, since you know your practice habits and how many 3x3s you have and stuff like that. So that's why I say the numbers might change depending on event and depending on the individual, because it's different for every person. So in this case, I did an average of 5 for the first round, which I think is fine. So on the second round, as I said, the big sail would be eliminated. I also did an average of 5. And in this case, the pink MF3RS, stickerless MF3RS with pink, was eliminated. I guess the best average doesn't really matter in each round, unless you want to know which cube was consistent throughout the competition, I guess. But it's just a fun way to see what your best average is each round. So in this case, another average of 5, and I eliminated the stronger end. And you can put as many cubes or as few cubes as you want in the competition, because maybe, for example, in the first round, the big sail, like, I know the big sail wouldn't be a main cube anyway, so maybe I wouldn't have included it in the competition, but I wanted it to be like more formal, or like more practice, because it's more solves. But you can decide how many cubes you want to put in, and how many solves you do per round. So yeah, I kept eliminating cubes, thunderclap, round 5, okay. So at a certain point, I stopped doing averages of 5, and I started doing averages of 12. So I tried to keep every round around 100 solves, because I wanted my main cube to be consistent. So increasing the amount of solves would obviously increase the likelihood that the cube is, good for you in the long run. which is what you want in a main cube. So I started doing averages of 12. I started eliminating some cubes. And really, like, when you get to around 5 or 6 cubes, you actually know which ones they're going to be, because and that's the reason why I said earlier that you don't have to include cubes you know won't be your main anyway. So you don't have to include useless cubes if you don't want to do as many solves. So let's see, round 10, I started doing an average of 25 for these 4 cubes that remained. So it would be an even 100 solves. Then in round 11 for 3 cubes, I did an average of 50, because an average of 25 would only be 75 solves. So I thought, hey, since averages of 50 are sometimes used as PBs, for example, or to determine your average, yeah, we should do an average of 50 for each. And then, well, as you can see, I still haven't done the final round. I still don't know what my main is, and you could tell from my previous video, if you saw it, that I still don't know which is better between the Valk and the Cosmic GTS 2. But I think that you should do an average of 100 for each in the final round, because that's what you want in a main cube. Obviously, you want consistency. Or you can do as many solves as you want. Like I said before, like, it depends on the individual and your practice habits. But yeah, to summarize, it's basically just a knockout tournament with your cubes to see which is your best performing cube and which one you feel most comfortable with. Like I said earlier, I didn't find any surprises to what the last cubes would be. I knew that, for example, the last 4 would be the Valk, the Gunner, the GTS2, well, the MF3RS. It's not that good of a cube in terms of, fast cubers using it, but I knew that it would be one of the best in my 3x3 collection. So I knew that those would be in the final ones. I also did this knockout tournament or competition, or however you want to say it, with a stack mat, because I wanted to simulate an actual competition, so that my main cube would not be only for practice but to perform as well in competition. Because, well, in reality, like, you need a good cube for competition as well. If you don't care about competition, then I guess doing stack mat doesn't matter. But I thought the formality of doing stack mat and, like, simulating a competition would add to the competitiveness and decisiveness that you need when you need to decide on a main and a best performing cube. So that's basically it. I just wanted to talk about this method I invented. I thought about this about maybe a year ago, but I didn't really try it out until now. And it has been really fun for me, because the benefits of it, I think, is, one, you get to experience all your cubes, and you might surprise yourself with with the performance of some cubes. Like, for example, you would think that one cube you haven't used in a while isn't that good, but then you try it out in this sort of competition format, and you see that, oh, it might be in your top 5 in your collection or something, and you might use it in the future. And also the sheer amount of solves that you have to do for this tournament, well, it depends on on how many cubes you have. But for example, if here I did like 100 solves every round, and I have about 10 rounds, right? That would be 1,000 solves, and that's a lot of solves. So that's a good, like a really good amount of practice, because you're solving over and over, and obviously you're still practicing, like you're still improving your times and your F2L and your algorithms and stuff, well, depending on the event. But the point is that this benefits with practice. It also introduces you to different cubes, and it teaches you to basically use different cubes. For example, if a cube you haven't used in a while is maybe tighter than usual than your current main, for example, then you would have to adapt and maybe like turn a bit faster if it's too tight, or like turn a bit slower if it's too loose. So that would improve your solving, because for example, turning slower would give you better look ahead, and turning faster would obviously give you higher TPS. So that's why I think this competition knockout tournament thing is good for practice in general and to decide your main cubes. But yeah, you should definitely try it out with any event you like to see if it works for you. Maybe it doesn't. I guess it depends on the individual. But if you want, you can try it out. Let me know in the comments how it turned out, how it worked for you, what modifications you did, of course, because obviously I don't think this method is perfect. There's obviously some flaws with it, and I guess the numbers could be messed around with to see what the best type of tournament or format would be to decide your main. And yeah, if you want, let me know what modifications you would make, and let me know if you try it out with your current collection with any event. And yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you liked it, and thanks for watching. Bye.